Welcome back, everybody. We're about to eliminate one of these two players coming up. This is ByuN versus Classic. This has been a crazy good group. Very interesting games. Hero actually beating Maru in the winners match, which makes it even harder to imagine one of these two advancing. I mean, Maru is basically the greatest GSL player of all time. I thought it was an easy pick to have him get out first, but here we are now.
Yeah, Hero looked really good against Maru, and ByuN was able to take a map off of him, but Hero and Classic both play very different styles based on what we've seen showcased so far today. Hero's a lot more aggressive, a lot more gateway units focused with Storm, with Link, with Charge. Classic, I think in every single game against Maru, went some kind of variant of 2-base Robo Stargate or Stargate Robo into a third and played these incredibly high-tech armies. Now, Maru is a lot more passive than ByuN. It's hard to make that style work against somebody who might be as aggressive as ByuN might be in this series. So we'll see if Classic adapts. Yep. We'll see how good his style is at hanging with these aggressive plays that ByuN might bring to the table in this series. I think in this matchup, just given their styles, I have to give ByuN the edge. But who knows? We might have another upset.
Yeah, let's see, man. ByuN is like the most aggressive Terran we have, basically. So can Classic's passive style work? Let's find out as we go into game one. All right, top right, we've got ByuN. Bottom left, we have Classic.
Back on Alcyone. This was, I think, the first map that Classic and Maru played in their series where, either the first or the second, where Maru went for that really cool control play in the middle of the map with sensor towers, with turrets, with mass Vikings against Classic's airball. I wonder if he's going to try and play Skytoss again here against ByuN, or if he'll make some adjustments, because these are the kind of things that, oh, his probe is, I like that cute little rally there to make sure he doubles up on the second mineral patch, but these are the adjustments that you have to make in the GSL as you play through the group, because you're not always going to play against the same style of player all the time. And Classic certainly had the time to prepare for this matchup. I mean, the current GSL format, it's only one day a week. It's every Thursday, 6:30 p.m., except for the finals, which are going to start about an hour and a half early in a couple of weeks. But Classic has had a lot of time to workshop different strategies coming into this one, and I'm very curious if he has just settled on this as being his approach to PvT, if it's just rock solid, or if he does have some variations. Because against Maru, it felt like every single game was pretty much the same kind of approach, you know? He was working with the same, you know, skeleton of a build and just making very small adjustments as the games went on.
Now, you know, in this game, it's funny, we have the same block again on the command center. It's interesting just to have that off-centered, so you have to pick it up and land it back down. Thinking of the way the Classic played makes me think of Stats, actually.
Yeah, they're similar.
Stats was the Protoss, out of all the ones we've had in GSL, that was probably the best at kind of staying, I don't know if removed is the right way, just kind of a development-based Protoss, defending everything, getting to a point where you finally built up this lead and then crushing. And you know, it's hard to do. Protoss can be pretty brittle early on. You know, I mean, we've all experienced Widow Mine drops, but there's just a lot of moments you can try to outposition them, punish their one time they can recall before hitting them somewhere else. And we got to see it a little bit with Classic. What's fascinating about the Classic Maru game is that Maru stays back, kind of made that wall of turrets, which we just don't really see that. But when you look at it, you go, oh, that kind of makes perfect sense. And then did that mass Viking SCV repair thing. I don't know, it was really interesting to see.
I mean, on paper, if you are playing as Classic's position, you have oracles you can work with. Oh, a little bit of miss micro there. With a Hellion here, this complicates the math a little bit, but these Marines have taken so much damage. The Stalker's going to get away scot-free. Oh, the Adept actually pairing up. Man, our Protoss gamers are gaming today.
What is happening? That was so good. What?
By the way, those Marines, there's 5 Marines that are just getting bullied by 1 Stalker down in the natural expansion. And there's an Oracle coming out, Tasteless. This has the potential to do a ton of damage.
Yeah, well, especially if the Terran tries to push out, like as the Oracle comes in.
You almost never see the first Stalker get that much work done.
Well, this is already so bad here for ByuN.
And Classic kind of wants to fight this, too. He wants to get more damage on these Marines. Unfortunately for him, the medevac is out now, so they won't be quite as bruised as he would like with the Oracle, but there is a chance that Classic just comes into the natural expansion right now with the gateway units, and the Oracle goes into the main, and a ton of damage is done.
I mean, there's going to be a big drop inbound here. This game's about to get crazy. There's
Classic,
nothing to defend back at home. This isn't like a Widow Mine drop either. This is just going to be pure damage.
Did Classic see the dropship going cross map or no?
No, he didn't see it at all.
Okay. Oracle in the main base right now taking down SCVs. Classic should know that there isn't enough Terran here, that something is coming cross map. In fact, he's just going to recall the Stalkers here. Expecting a Widow Mine drop, actually going for the surround on the Marines. Wait, it's
what?
only one Stalker? Did he miss micro that?
Well, he must have.
Wait, no, there's only one alive. That was the only Stalker he's got. He just worked on another one. Oh, this is very awkward.
And he just doesn't have enough of anything to kind of take this fight correctly.
Yeah, well, if he mineral walks to the third base, he can get a surround on the Marines. Instead, the probe's kind of getting picked off. Now, luckily with the Oracle and the Phoenix here.
Oh, Liberator coming in too. And oh, what? This is an insane game.
Yeah, ByuN's coming in with a lot of aggression now. Cyclone, Liberator, and all these Marines.
Now,
there's no shield battery in the natural.
There is going to be an Immortal.
You got to go for this right now here as Classic. You got to focus down that Liberator. Eventually does get taken out, but at the cost of pretty much all of the Stalkers. The Phoenix not able to finish off the medevac there.
Yeah, the medevac too low to go back and pick up these Marines. More Marines inbound.
Man, what a wild early game.
This is like one of the coolest early games ever, honestly.
We're going into Cloak Banshees behind this too. The Oracle and the Phoenix are going cross map. Oh, he might be able to find this medevac as well with these units. It's heading right in. Yep, medevac's gonna get taken down there by the Phoenix. And the Phoenix, oh, if he goes into the main base, I think he just missed seeing the tech lab. If Classic catches wind, this is gonna be Cloak Banshee as a follow-up. That's gonna be huge for him. I don't think he just knows. Observer production is starting back at home. Okay, so he did see the tech lab. No shield battery in the main or the natural, so there is some potential for damage from the Banshee, but...
So is he going to try to push out with this again? I mean, he's got the stuff rallied in the middle of the map. Protoss is on a third base. Terran's taking his own. So it almost feels like it'd be an anti-timing. He's going to come out here. I mean, there's no medevac here.
Oh, force field could be so huge right there.
Yeah.
Siege gets taken out. Cloak Banshee, it has to be going into the main base. Yeah, it's right there in the main. Probe's already pulled, though. Not that many workers going down. Only 2 probes in total. Classic's playing a pretty clean game, and keep in mind, he has those Phoenixes on the map still. He can clean up that Banshee in the corner.
I mean, I'm a little bit stunned that ByuN pushed out in the middle of the map then. Uh-oh, gonna lose this Banshee too. Doesn't even kill the Sentry, unfortunately. I feel like there's counterplay coming up here for Classic.
Yeah,
I feel
Classic
like
is
ByuN's misplayed enough times. There should be some kind of an opening.
I think Classic's in a really good position. ByuN has basically no starport units again. This is kind of the theme today for ByuN especially, is having no starport units.
Yeah.
As he's still building Banshees right now. And I mean, we have Phoenix on the field, there's an Oracle on the field, there are observers being produced out of the robotics as well. So it's not like this is going to catch Classic completely off guard. He might not be expecting additional Banshees to come in, so there is that for ByuN, but also he's already on 3 Nexus. Even if you pick off a couple of probes, I mean, it's going to get resaturated so quickly here as Classic. And on the back foot of this, yeah, you are getting some idle time, you are killing some probes, but eventually the Banshee's going to die. There are observers, there are Phoenixes, and this means you don't have medevacs being made back at home, you don't have any Vikings being created. There's no healing on the map for ByuN. It's just 2 Banshees, 2 tanks, and a fair number of Marines, so this Banshee's going to get traded out, but in terms of scaling, Classic is doing so well. He parries the Banshee on the left side, too. It was a little bit scary when the first Marine drop came into the natural expansion and Classic recalled the only Stalker that he had on the map. But
so wild.
But since then, the defense has been so on point.
Yeah, the Oracle is going to try to come in, stun these SCVs if he can. ByuN knows what to do. He baits out the stun with his 1 SCV and goes right back to mining. We got 4 bases right now for Classic. He's continuing to develop. Did we have the carrier tech? We changed tabs here. I was about to look for it.
No, it's just Colossus and Ground.
Well, he's getting 1 Stargate now, so
second Stargate, yeah.
He might be going for those carriers again. I'm curious to see if ByuN will emulate what Maru did, or maybe this is what everybody's doing right now. I don't know, you know.
I mean, the meta is developing so fast, especially with the new patch, but it does certainly seem like a lot of these Korean Protoss players, especially Classic and Stats, seem to have a very similar read on how to play matchups right now.
Right.
I mean, their PvZ games looked not exactly identical, but very like cousins, basically.
A lot of the same ideas, yeah.
Sharing many of the same ideas. I wouldn't be surprised if they've been working together to try and come back. You know, two players that have been struggling a little bit since returning from military service, playing similar styles to great success now in the first season of GSL this year. It is going to be those carriers. First one in production, second forge being created as well as Classic's just continuing to macro up. Now, the big difference between this and the game against Maru is that ByuN's economy is very small. His upgrades are quite delayed, and he's really lacking on the starport units. You know, he traded out those medevacs early to go for drops. He followed that up with, I think, 3 Cloak Banshees, which, although they did get some probe damage done, means that there aren't Vikings on the field. There aren't a lot of medevacs on the field. ByuN's army is mostly just bio and tanks on the ground right now, and with the force that Classic is slowly amassing while he's taking the gold base, I'm not sure ByuN is going to be able to scale as well as Protoss will here. I think he might be just a little bit too far behind.
It seems like it's the same problem that we saw ByuN in before, where there was just like enough stuff out here that there's no way for ByuN to keep expanding and growing, right? Like, you can kind of just keep this position with the Colossi and Stalkers and hold your ground, and they can't really come out and attack. If they attack you, kind of kite away and deal damage. If they overextend, you force field them and punish. And you don't even have to really attack in. And then behind that, we just see this carrier fleet amassing.
Mothership as well. And ByuN isn't building a 4th command center. He's instead throwing down 3 more barracks. Scan comes through. Looking for an obs there, but I don't think he knows just yet that Classic is going for this transition, and ByuN is just basically going full bio. He's making a ton of Marines now, adding in a lot of barracks without any add-ons. I think he's just going to try and slowly power. Oh, there is a 4th command center. I completely missed this. All right, that makes a lot more sense with the macro down here for ByuN.
It's pretty fresh, but, you know, I mean, he's going to get it eventually, but is it too late?
Yeah, I think the maxed army for Classic is going to be so good. ByuN needs to get an engagement where he's able to get something like a 180-degree arc on the Protoss army.
And, you know, who knows? Maybe this map is so big, it's a disadvantage for Terran. Maybe it's hard to actually come out there and do that much.
Could be. That stasis trap really clutch right there in the middle. Is able to get a ghost.
Yeah,
also acts as a force field. And now the carrier tech has been revealed. There aren't that many Marines up here in the front, so
yeah,
the carriers are training quite well. Even the Colossi, you can see them focus firing down the Marines in this fight. There's no anti-air left. It's just Colossi and carriers absolutely obliterating this. And now these units pop out of stasis and just get destroyed.
I mean, that could not have gone worse for ByuN. I'm surprised Classic's not pursuing further. I guess he's going to fly into the main, do a big warp in, and then probably hit the 4th or the 3rd. Does he know about the 4th? I don't know that he ever scouted that.
He might not know, but the 4th, if it is going to be around, I mean, it's going to be a planetary, right? So I think you just go for the 3rd here. You almost go for the throat.
That's a weaker point anyways.
Yeah. All right, attacking now into the 3rd base here is Classic. He's pushing up with these carriers. Warp Prison in the main.
Where is it?
It did go down to the turrets.
Yeah, so it's just 4 Zealots. That's pretty doable.
And I guess Classic's just going to remax right now on carriers. He has 6 on the field. The Mothership, although it is done, it's not... Where is it, actually? It's been done for a minute, hasn't it? I think it's... I think it's been rallied onto a mineral line like a pro. That's my guess.
Yeah. Another scan comes down. Classic is just continuing to stay, you know, not overextended, generating threats. He's going to come up here to that 4th base now. It is actually... Oh, no, it is a planetary. Okay, for a second I was like, oh, is it an orbital?
That might be the Mothership on the right side of the minimap going towards the main base.
He might want to recall everything into the main.
He might.
That actually could be a pretty cool way to end this game.
With an army like this one, too. Oh, okay, watch this. Getting caught out of position right now is Classic. Does have a good number of Templar. I'm not sure if Storm is ready just yet. Engagement coming in. EMP's actually on the Templar. Okay, Storm is done. Mothership entering the main base right now here for ByuN. We'll get a shot of it. Recall coming in. Is it going to finish in time? It will.
Sick.
all over the production right now. The Templar are fanning out. Only one Storm at the disposal, but keep in mind, Classic, if he doesn't like this engagement, he can just recall back home too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's so clumped! Double Storm right there, and all the Marauders. Marines now coming in. A second recall, and the Marines do get on top, so one carry is going to go down, but that's a lot of damage done.
ByuN is just getting wrecked. This is insane. I don't know that he's going to GG out, but like, it wouldn't be a bad idea, man. He is losing so much stuff right now.
I feel like the follow-up attack is just going to be so huge here for Classic. He's adding in another Stargate, another Robo. The upgrades are pumping. 22 SCVs in total have gone down. More gateways in production here, and Classic still has this massive bank. Rebuilding the mothership, getting air weapons, air attack. I think we're actually on double cybernetics core for air upgrades right now, which is not something you see very often, but it's working so well here for Classic. And ByuN, like the army that he has on the field, it's not going to get much better. He lost so many SCVs. He's down at 67. He's effectively on a 3-base economy because the main is almost entirely mined out. It might, in fact, be completely mined out at this point. And I think the 5th base, excuse me, is only just now coming online. It's a little bit of a slog for him to get back to max. Or as Classic as max and then some with a very high-tech army.
He's going to push up again. They're going to meet right here in the middle. Again, it's a tough angle for Terran to take a good fight. The Protoss just have better range. Nice storm!
What a storm on the right side with a Warp Prism.
That was insane. He's going to keep pushing in.
I mean, the Ghosts are all falling right now to the carriers, the Interceptors. I think they probably should click them down. That was so much damage. Stalker's getting warped in here, too.
Another
these
great
storms are huge.
EMP comes down, and so he can't do any more storms on that. I think there's just not enough here for ByuN. Everything thins out, the carriers remain, and this push in here is going to wipe out this third, and from here he can go probably up into the main. I think expect GG. There it is.
Wow.
Whoa.
What a game there from Classic.
That was very impressive.
I mean, ByuN just kept going for this early game harassment that completely floundered. The only drop that was moderately successful was the first Marines that came across the map and then the Cyclone follow-up.
Yeah.
But after that, there were Cloak Banshees, there were all these drops, and nothing really got much done. And then suddenly, Classic's on 3 bases, completely safe. He takes it at carriers, and ByuN kind of falls into the same trap that he fell into, I believe, against Hero, where he just wasn't able to scale at the same pace as the Protoss. And Classic shows the game plan that he had against Maru in their series, this time working out. What a cool PvT style we're seeing from Classic here today.
Well, now we get to see how it works. I think we need to see way more aggro from ByuN. I think he cannot stay back. We've seen a couple games where he just sort of submits to the carrier tech. How do you stop carriers? Generally, the answer is you get in there and kill them before it happens. It's not a matter of like what counters what. It's like, well, you know, did you let the game drag on that much? Anyways, guys, we're going to go to Oceanborn for game number 2. Let's do this. Okay, ByuN in the top left, Classic in the bottom right.
And no proxies coming out on this one. I'm with you though, Tasteless. I think ByuN has to be a little bit more aggressive and not the harassment style of aggressive that we saw from him, because Stargate openings are generally really good at that.
Right.
The fact that you can make Phoenixes to just deal with any kind of medevacs or Banshees that come out early, especially paired with the Oracle, as we saw Classic do, that +1 Immortal is so hard to get any damage done with the very early harassment options that Terran has.
Right.
But it's the kind of thing that could be vulnerable should ByuN go for it. I know this sounds like kind of caveman Terran, but like, say he went for a 3 racks, right? It just comes in with a big
he's done that
timing.
before. I mean, I think that's, you know.
At the highest of levels, it's not the kind of play that works exceptionally well, but something that plays a little bit more bio-heavy and less finesse for ByuN, I think, is going to be the path to victory against the composition the Classic is running, because this starport play has just been so safe from Protoss. I mean, the fact that you can chase down all the starport units that Terran throws at you is just so clutch here for Classic.
You know, here's one thing to remember. He was actually kind of aggro in the last game, come to think of it. I kind of forgot because it was such a long game. but he did try to get in there and do that counterplay. It just backfired. Once he was in the middle of the map with a tank and Marines and no medevac, it's like, oh, okay, well now you're going to lose all this and you don't have any path to recovery.
But I think it backfired because the harassment just didn't get the damage done. I mean, you think of all the starport time lost there for Terran, where he lost the first medevac, and then he went for 3 cloaked Banshees with a starport on a tech lab. They didn't get very much done. I don't even think they were worth really their cost because the Phoenix and the Observers cleaned them up pretty easily. They got maybe 6 or 7 probes in total, which for 3 Banshees, you take that trade, especially as a 3-base Protoss like Classic was. And so ByuN, when he moved across the map right there with the Marines and the siege tanks, I don't think he had a single medevac with his army. It was just completely unsupported. Classic was able to catch him at the most inopportune time as Terran, where he could force field and even section off the siege tank at the very beginning of the fight. And things just didn't go well, but I feel like if ByuN goes for an opening, maybe do some very early harassment and then kind of pivot towards a timing attack as opposed to this continued repeated harassment that just keeps getting cleaned up.
Well, I just didn't feel like we saw that much of a plan from ByuN later on. You know, and again, what we know just from the Maru games, what you're supposed to do now, right? I mean, you know, that wall of turrets and tacking up into Vikings with mass SCVs to repair apparently is the way to do it.
I mean, even 3CC is pretty good against it, you know? You just kind of play the macro game up there with the Protoss. It's just that isn't really ByuN's style.
Yeah.
The Robo and Stargate play that Classic is bringing to the table seems specifically extra good against what ByuN likes to do because he is so aggressive, because he likes those finesse plays with Hellions, with Widow Mines, with medevacs.
Just puts the shade under there so he can't land, just to buy a little bit more time. He's going to go for this drop now. And we saw this before. Hellions, 3 Hellions moving out. Marine drop coming in here. Will all these Marines be sacrificed so that the Hellions can be picked up later on?
Oh, Classic actually scouts the Hellions right there with the Adepts, and that messes his timing up for ByuN quite a bit.
Well, the Oracle's going to come in here and get kills.
Oh yeah, there's no Cyclone out back at home. There's actually no anti-air in the main base of ByuN whatsoever, but this drop here is commencing at the natural expansion of Classic. There is a shield battery and 2 Stalkers. Maybe not the best SimCity for defending this harassment, but it should be enough. Oh, he fully walled that off, so the Hellions can't even join.
That was a great play. The Oracle's going to be picked off. The Medevac's going to be driven out. He can cancel that gateway there, just like that. And everything's back to normal. Really good handling here from Classic.
Yeah, it didn't take too much damage. Still 8 workers ahead. Losing the Oracle is a little bit painful on the other side of the map, but all things considered, ByuN went for this really aggressive opening and wasn't able to get the harassment done that he even got done against Hero on Oceanborn in that earlier series, and now he's coming through with this push. I like this a lot with the Liberator. Marine Cyclones coming in.
Well, we were talking about this is probably what he needs to do. He could try to set up a little. Oh, hold on a second. He's going to push it now. The Phoenixes are going to come down.
It's a great angle right now for Classic too. Just out of range of the shield battery though, but he just gets the Liberator. Micro's right back.
Loses the Phoenix. Has one more here, still trying to do damage to that medevac. It's got a lot of energy on it. If he could possibly pick this off, it'd be huge. Oh, the Phoenix is so low. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
2 hits away from taking that thing down.
Is Classic too far out now?
Oh, the Phoenix comes back for the kill and doesn't get it. Instead, it gets picked off, and ByuN's just going to go home and lick his wounds. But that was a pretty favorable trade, all things considered.
Beautifully done.
Phoenix count gets reset. A couple of gateway units went down there for Classic. And if you're playing this Stargate style as Classic, you really don't want to make any more Phoenixes than the first initial Phoenixes. You want to start spending all those minerals, all that gas into getting your upgrades, into getting your Colossus tech online. So the fact that Classic now feels it necessary to make at least one more Phoenix, potentially even a second, as we'll see if he makes that decision. It's expensive here for kind of a vulnerable time where Protoss wants to get these other things going on their side of the map. So really big win there for ByuN. Classic actually very ambitious moving out like this. He's going to lose another Phoenix just for 1 Cyclone.
Yeah, I mean, the damage keeps getting distributed kind of onto everything, and that's always bad because then nothing dies. So a bad engage there from Classic. I got to say, definitely like a better-looking game overall here for ByuN.
Yeah, this kind of aggression, a lot better than the more harassment-focused approach that he went for in game number 1. Because once you break the back, or even create some kind of setback here for Protoss player that's trying to go for Phoenix Colossus opening like this, it's really hard for them to kind of get that momentum going. It's a build that is very effective if it's uninterrupted, but once it does get interrupted, it becomes exponentially more fragile.
Right. So we're going to see that accumulation of Colossi. I think it's going to be tougher for Pokes to come out here for Classic. But let's see. Actually, no. Once again, ByuN going to be on the move. I like it. Is he going to wrap around the bottom and try to hit this third base? I got to say, it's actually not easy in this spot that we're looking at on screen to get any kind of setup where you can hit that base. The low ground to high ground is pretty pushed out. There's no like rocks to kind of hide behind. Maybe just the very bottom, just south of the screenshot we had on there.
We'll see what angle he goes for. Now, 2 Ravens means that there should be interference matrix here for ByuN.
Yeah, and the fact that we're already at the Protoss's base is usually a bad sign. A lot of times you will come out and try to bait out the interference matrices just to run back.
Classic does have a really strong army.
No stim yet. Does feel weird to see any. Maybe that was a fake, but it doesn't seem like you can push it all without stim. You know.
Maybe if you have a higher siege tank count, but sitting only at 1.
Yeah.
You know, all that production time was spent on Hellions. That, in the end, didn't get too much done. Classic now going to take his 4th base, ByuN macroing at home. Not sure if he has the 4th command center underway just yet. Instead, adding her in the armory, continuing his upgrades. 5 barracks here for ByuN. And it does feel like ByuN is slowly inching his way closer and closer to a timing attack, but Classic is starting to grow really rapidly on the other side of the map. He's even getting the Fleet Beacon, the 2nd Stargate, adding in additional gateways.
Stim going to finish up here, but I don't know if there are opportunities to try to attack out. It feels like by the time he gets there, all those gates are going to be done. There's going to be so much that can be warped in. And we are going to see the eventuality of the carrier tech here. We're seeing the air weapons upgrade get made, a 2nd Stargate coming as well.
Ooh, a lot of damage right there on that Raven. Air weapons now coming in. More shield batteries getting warped in here for Classic as he's playing a really slow defensive style, going into Tempest now. Curious about the starport unit count here for ByuN. He's still on medevac production. Yeah, it's not a lot. There's only 1 Viking on the field in totals, too, so these Tempests are going to get a lot of value. We'll see if ByuN's able to get the engagement he's looking for. Classic kind of fishing to try and get one of these Ravens. Not able to take it down, though. No ghosts in this army, so those 2 sentries should be able to get their force fields off once the engagement commences. And actually, Adept's being warped in over here on the other side of the map. You don't see that very often.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's not a bad idea, to be honest. I mean, he can actually kill off a lot of SCVs. It's not like ByuN has that many bases to work with. Another 3 come in. Or, sorry, Zealots this time, not Adepts.
6 SCVs in total going down.
Can ByuN actually get in here? It looks like Classic's really out of position.
Yeah, but this army for ByuN actually looks very small.
Yeah.
All right, interference matrix coming in. Actually gets one of the Tempests, too. So all the Colossus are out of the equation right now. The force fields are good at splitting the Terran army, and Classic just trying to buy time, warping in Zealots here as a meat shield on the left side.
I mean, I feel
all of the Colossi are going to survive.
Yeah, he just sort of sidestepped that. Again, a pretty tiny army, all things considered. I think that now is going to be the counterpunch here from Classic. I think he can actually move out on the map. Now, there's no 4th base for ByuN, by the way.
Yeah, it's still in production, I think, over there at the 3rd. He still hasn't lifted it to the 4th base location. Carrier production is now commenced for the Protoss player, and I wouldn't be surprised if Classic just worked his way up towards a maxed army again and then try to hammer down the 4th base.
Right.
I mean, that was such a big win for Protoss. Anytime you take an engagement in the mid game like that, or I guess we're now entering the late game very quickly here, as Protoss is taking up so quickly, but you take an engagement like that and you lose the gateway units and you retain all of the high-tech units, you are very happy.
Oh, yeah. No, you're always happy to throw away the Zealots and the Stalkers if you can. They're almost there to die so the other units don't. Another little Adept drop comes in here. Just anything to keep Terran busy. We don't have the 5th base yet for Classic, but I'm sure that's going to come.
I think right now he's more focused on just getting this production going in terms of carriers. He wants to build an army that is going to be able to really levy a lot of pressure on a ByuN, but actually it's ByuN who is moving across the map right now at 182 supply. I don't think we have an Oracle here for Classic. I would love to see him mix one in here with these Tempest. But still, this Skytoss army is looking really good. We have 2 more carriers that are going to join very soon. Right now, this might be the window for ByuN. Before these extra 2 carriers and the Mothership finish, Storm is also not done. This is a rare moment of vulnerability here for Classic.
Yeah, if it's going to be anytime, it's going to be now. He's going to try to move in here. The Colossi going to back up. The carriers don't have that many interceptors out. But Classic shuts it down and pushes it back, which means it's only going to get worse here for ByuN.
I mean, he just doesn't have the Viking count to really put a dent into the air
Yeah,
army. It's
yeah.
just the Marines that he's relying on for the anti-air, but the Colossus count never got reset. Classic still has 3 Colossi up, and they're just absolutely shredding these Marines. They are melting them down. And that means that Classic just survived very easily that moment of vulnerability. Soon he's going to be max. He's going to have the Mothership plus 2 air weapons. He's going to have Storm. He's taking a 5th base.
By the way, we have with the Mothership coming out, I don't think this is a map where you could just recall into the main. Just due to the way it's shaped, it seems like organically the second base and the third base kind of cover for that. So.
It could be something like we see Classic move towards the natural expansion and then recall over to the 4th.
Oh, that's
or
a good
vice
point.
versa.
Yeah.
But even just having the Mothership there for Time Warp is so useful in a situation where Terran, most of their anti-air in this situation is on the ground. The Viking count is very low. I mean, I guess we're at 11 now. We're going up to 14. Keep in mind, Maru, I think, was close to 20 in his game against Classic, where he was playing the control game. And ByuN is only just now reaching the teens in that number. He's going to move across the map again. 3-3 timing here for ByuN. 4 command centers in production, by the way, so he is gearing up for the late game. But Classic's kind of been able to assemble all the pieces in his puzzle. Mothership here too. Time Warp should get thrown down. Storms as well. The Cloak is coming in.
Yeah, the Mothership right now actually doing a pretty good
There's no
job of
scan?
tanking.
There was no scan. There was no detection there for ByuN.
I can't believe it.
Only just now does a scan go
he's
down.
like, how much does he have? Oh, God, I got to run away.
That was insane. There was no scan there, right? I mean, I can't believe that. That engagement was so good for Classic.
I almost didn't even realize there was no scan because I've taken for granted that you're scanning there. And I was like, man, I even said the Mothership is tanking pretty well. And then I'm like, oh, that's because it's the only thing you can see.
And it was far enough back that a lot of the bio couldn't even hit it. And now Classic on 189 supply of Sky Toss with +2 air weapons. And look at how many Storms he has in the back, too. Those are 5 very high-energy Templar coming in. Ghost Academy even gets focused down to the 3rd. I think Classic's going to the final match to face Maru.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, ByuN, he put up a really good fight, but at the end of the day, Classic just seems to have an answer to this matchup. And so we're going to be having Classic versus Maru.
Yeah, it's going to be a rematch. Maru was able to take the 2-1 victory as ByuN is hanging on for dear life right now, lifting the 3rd base command center, but he's on 7 Marines, 5 Ghosts, and what, 2 Vikings trying to fend off this force? I mean, a million universes, I don't think there's a single one where you actually stop this army here as ByuN.
Oh my God, some more Storms coming down here. I think at this point in time, ByuN just processing the loss. Man, you know what Classic's doing, it just seems like you have to figure out how to kill the Protoss before they get this far along.
I mean, Maru was able to showcase how to do that in his series against Classic earlier, but against ByuN's specific aggressive style,
GG.
Classic just able to withstand the storm. And that was a pretty convincing win here for Classic. I mean, you can really show why he is playing this style. It is rock solid against all but the best Terran players in the world. I mean, ByuN kind of shaking his head.
It's got to be a frustrating way to lose.
Wow.
It's like, what do I do versus this? Play like Maru. Just play like Maru. Okay, guys. Well, we've got one more best of 3 for the evening. ByuN is now out of this season. He's been eliminated. Maru, after losing in an upset to Hero, is going to be going up against Classic once more. We started the day out with Maru versus Classic. We're going to be ending on that, too.
Another TVP, man. 5 TVP series we're going to play today. Really deep dive into this matchup.
I love it.
Variety of different styles we're seeing from Classic and Hero. Guys, we're going to go to a break. When we get back, that final match to decide who's going to go to the round of 4. We'll see you soon.
You've got to know this is only the beginning. You never know where you may go, so hold on to the highs while back around, comes back around, back around, comes back around, comes back around. So hold on to the highs while you're alright, 'cause you know you're gonna come down, just a matter of time, and you will find everything comes back around. So hold on to the highs while you're alright, 'cause you know you're gonna come down, just a matter of time, and you will find everything comes back around, comes back around.